What up, YouTube? Topaz Yates back for another album review, and this one's to that Rick Ross, Richer Than I Ever Been. But before we jump into the album review, first I got to offer you context. First I got to give you everything that I'm thinking about leading up to this project. But if you feel as though you know everything there is to know about Rick Ross, feel free to fast forward to this point here. But who is Rick Ross? He's a Miami rapper slash mogul, the Maybach music mastermind, and overall he has been a dominant force in the music industry since when, 2009-ish? But here's the real deal, man. Like, he's been in the game for a long time. He's got his longevity, man. He's going to be looked upon as one of the best who have ever done it in years in the future in terms of just raw success of building an imprint. The problem is, where's he going right now? Like, this whole imprint is somewhat the same as it was back in 2009. It's nowhere near as hyped or as good as it once was. It's nowhere near as new, because when you look at it, he made long-term investments with a bunch of really skillful individuals, from the producers, the Justice League, to his artists, Meek Mill, Wale, to Staley, even included a Rocky Fresh and Gunplay in these individuals, you feel me? He's made long-term investments in these people, in which this game is a what have you done for me lately game. And this is why record labels will cut off an artist after one or two projects after they flop, but now you're kind of just going along for the ride, even though they're not pushing out the same numbers that they used to. And that has caused this whole record label to ultimately stagger. Like, where are your new acts? Where's your new unique promotions? Like, what he's doing is still epic, but yet it's become predictable. And as I've told you, over the long haul, man, when you become predictable, that's when people begin to lose interest. I mean, there comes a point where your own solo albums should no longer be the priority of your record label if you're trying to be the boss, the mogul, the man on top. Like, you honestly need to be researching and finding new talent to continue to build up your brand. That's what record labels do. That's why Def Jam is still in existence to this day. But even with this, I feel as though Rick Ross has mastered a standard music formula, you feel me, where all of his albums, they may not be great or anything like that, nowhere near as his beginning projects, but they become solid because he knows what he's doing and he knows what he needs to do to maximize his actual skill set. As his actual formula is quality production plus flossing times luxurious branding, and that ultimately gives him his whole quality of music that everybody tends to rock with. That formula helps hide his lack of lyricism, but ultimately it limits his growth because you can't hide this forever. And because he operates off of this formula, it makes his albums a little more difficult to judge on which ones were his top three. But I feel confident. Like, my number 3 favorite albums, I tied this one. I would say Triller, tied with Port of Miami 2. My number 2 favorite album from Rick Ross would be Deeper Than Rap. I mean, that's mafia music, Maybach music 2, Rich Off Cocaine, a bunch of really quality joints is on that project. And my favorite project from Rick Ross easily would be the Port of Miami. And I mean, just based off his formula, like, you have to kind of lean towards his earlier works. Off that project, man, got the classics, Push It, Hustlin', Cross That Line, and a number of many others, man. And now I bring you the album review for Rick Ross, Richer Than I Ever Been. And, you know, this is exactly what I expected it would be, minus a Maybach music, which is kind of surprising to me, but you know, that's a good thing. Like, you need to make that Maybach music sound a little more real in order for people to actually respect it more, instead of just flooding it left and right on every project. People gotten too used to it to the degree that no one even really cares all that much. But if you are able to adapt it, update it, include more artists and stuff in there that's actually of the caliber that's necessary, and the luxurious sound of it returns, I think it can come back stronger and better than ever. Honestly, I was hoping for Richer Than I Ever Been would be like its own standalone theme project, where he's not going through the whole catacombs of all the sounds that he's done before in the past and just remaking them. But nah, like, we're just hearing what Rick Ross does. Point blank, period. Nothing more, nothing less. When you look at the artwork, there's a little bit of a controversy. Not a lot, but he changed the artwork to this, which is a generic artwork, you feel me? Like, this looks like something that every southern rapper with a limited budget would have done. This was his original artwork that he was trying to run with, and I guess he was getting clowned. And I mean, I don't blame people for clowning him for this. He's trying to channel Queen Elizabeth. I mean, you looking like the fattest pope that I've ever seen in my life. With me going to clown that, ultimately, people talking about it is a necessary thing. You feel me? Like, that's the point of doing artwork. It's not so that you can fit in so people won't clown you and all that stuff. No, it's to stand out amongst your peers, to do something unique and different, something that people were talking about for good or bad. As long as people aren't ignoring it, then you've done your job. But as I look at this project, man, it's mostly unimpressive songs, but they're not fully bad. Like I said, the standard of quality that Rick Ross brings to the table is at full effect here. See, the songs that sound a bit different on this happen to be the songs that he's taking samples from the past that many people weren't really taking like that. Like, say that Wiggle featuring Dream Doll up on there. Like, he sampled that Juvenile "I Need It in My Life" Manny Fresh, you feel me? And I mean, I like it. Not necessarily the track, but I like the fact that he went in that direction. I wish more people would try to sample Manny Fresh. And the same goes for that Warm Worlds in the Cold World featuring Wale and Future on it. That's a sample, like a New York sample. Like, I cannot point blank put my finger on it, exactly the song, but I've heard that thousands of times from New York rappers and all that stuff. And I think Rick Ross did a decent job on it, but that's not one of the songs that I'm going to keep off this project. Really, the only songs that I'm going to keep would be Pulitzer, because I like the bounce on it. It's like that type of production that's really just perfect for Rick Ross and his delivery, but yet it's completely the wrong kind of production for Rick Ross and his lyricism. I mean, when your most notable balls off of that would be, yo, Fat Boy filling up the bleachers, or how IG needs to be taking down all of y'all profiles, taking y'all down because y'all all counterfeits. Like, okay, like these balls are meaningless, but yet for people who don't listen to bars and break them down, they sound like they're cool, they sound like something that people would like. And that's really the gray area that Rick Ross have lived in his entire lyrical career. Now, honestly, my favorite song off this project would be The Rapper Estates, where I feel as though he just got an excellent dynamic here with Benny the Butcher, because he got the delivery, Benny the Butcher got the lyrics, the production on there that comes from Rick Ross to a degree, but it's giving Benny the Butcher exactly the sound that he wants, but actually better though. This track is just the perfect balance to eliminate the flaws of each individual MC. And the last song that I actually had some respect for was that Hella Smoke featuring Wiz Khalifa, where this is, you know, a high song. Not the best high song from either one of these individuals' careers, but it's not like the worst, and it stands out amongst the rest of these tracks because the project isn't that amazing. But there is a lesson to be had here in terms of a punchline that Rick Ross tried to use, where he's saying, yo, I'm floating like Julio Jones. Well, yeah, that's cool, until you realize, not this year though. For those of you who play fantasy football, oh, Julio Jones was one of the biggest disappointment fantasy bust of this year. And that's not going to change in the future. So ultimately, you've dated yourself by saying Julio Jones. You feel me? Like, this is something that Fabulous said a while ago when it came to lyrical punchlines, because he was like the king of making punchlines geared towards sporting events and athletes and things of that nature. He decided he's going to stray away from that because things change so quickly and people forget exactly how dominant an individual was because people are more focused on who's popping right now. So when you drop a hot punchline about somebody that's balling out of control at that moment, 5 years from now, people be like, who that? But overall, man, I mean, Rick Ross is doing what Rick Ross does. He's doing the same formulas, except for like he's not doing them specifically, but yet he's getting the same kind of productions. He's trying to create the same kinds of songs, and none of them are super impressive on this. It's more of so showing you more of the decline that what was Rick Ross. But still, he has the formula down pat. He's mastered his style to the degree he could only make a really bad album if he deliberately wanted to go in that direction. But he really needs to go in more of a direction of creating and trying to be unique and different and putting on new artists and things of that nature in order to take himself and his brand to another level instead of where he's at now. But he's still good where he's at now. So overall, I'm giving this joint, man, a 6 out of 10. One you should go ahead, peep out, maybe get 1 or 2 songs up off of it, but that's about it.